the microphone.
Within our district, there are so many issues worthy of mention. They compound daily. Although very complex situations, the root of them is very basic. One of the latest issues our district is dealing with is the certification of coaches and volunteers. This concern was brought forth in the past, in the September Board of Education meeting, had it been looked into and rectified immediately, it would have never affected a sports season. Or better yet, if the rules were followed initially, there would be no need for corrective action. The handout that I passed out to the board members is out of the Wayne Central Employee Handbook, pages 5 through 8. It's an ethics section. Our community is tired of empty apologies and corrective actions. Apologies are necessary when poor decisions are made. Our district is in desperate need of new leaders within the district office who are humble, possess strong ethics, a solid understanding of their job, and the ability to make the correct decisions the first time. It is time for accountability. And also, I would like to note the answer to the question that was asked at the last board meeting. Who gave the order to remove the press from the meeting on the 28th? I haven't been able to find the answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Freischlag, 5969 Lansing Road, Ontario. I sort of would like to pigtail on what Mr. Sirikos spoke about kids being unprepared. He used the statistic that 37 of 100 kids in a freshman class enter college. I believe that I've seen on our school website a statistic that says that 98% of Wayne Central seniors apply for college. And he also talked about data-driven dialogue, which is a term I love as a teacher. Data, as many people know, can be misused and misconstrued to benefit those who are presenting it. 98% of kids that apply for college only means that kids actually fill out applications, but the real data is what I think is people are interested in, especially when it comes to academics. In the last 2 days, U.S. News has submitted their comprehensive study on best high schools, which is conducted by the American Institute for Research in Washington, D.C. In case you're unfamiliar, this is the largest, most reputable research organization in the world. This is all they do. Out of one of their key components for assessing high schools is a college readiness index. Out of a score of 100, Wayne Central scored a 28.3. It's important for us to understand what that data is in relation to other districts for which we have some comparable demographics and comparable background. If we look at a district, the numbers that are closest to ours, Canandaigua data is 34.1, Gananda 37.8, Victor 44, West Irondequoit 46.1, and a little closer to our numbers are Eastridge 26.8 and Palmac 22.3. My concern for my child is that if our tax money is going towards a world-class education, what does that mean? My child has the benefit of having an educated educator to help him along the process. But many times I've heard the term world-class education used in reference to what our taxpayers, or what our tax money goes for. I would say that this data doesn't say that all of our kids, or enough of our kids, are getting the world-class education that we love to promote to the press. Thank you.
I'd like to remind everybody, so I don't cut anybody off, if you'd like to make a public comment, please stand up so that we're in a line. Otherwise, I'm just going to move on to the next item. Thank you.
My name is Virginia Eaton. I live at 1231 Brick Church Road here in Ontario. My first question I have tonight to address the board, specifically the 6 board members that were responsible for the hiring of our current superintendent. May I ask what made you make this decision for the hire? 3 years ago, I did ask a board member how this decision was made. I received a flip answer. We wanted to shake things up. Not a good answer then, definitely not a good answer now in light of all our district is going through. I thought it best to seek this answer at this time because 6 of the 9 board members are still here. And if something happens in the future that they're not here, I would really like to have that question answered. My second question was going to be addressed to Mrs. Garrett, but I wasn't aware that I couldn't do that, so I will address it to the board. Was the board aware that there was a board member's name and signature omitted from the letter that was sent to the state regarding the audit? At that time, when I saw the letter, I was under the impression that it was a unanimous agreement. If I would have seen a name without a signature, I would have realized that it was not so. Would you not regard this to have been perceived a different picture if the name would have been there? I think I might construe this as a small form of deception. Third, at the last board meeting, someone had asked who had given the order for the media not to be allowed at the meeting. I also have not heard an answer to that question, and I would very much like to have that answered. I can't hand this in right now, my questions, because I had to redo my question she was here, so I will write it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carla Borman, 4124 West Walworth Road. I'm sure you're all aware of what happened with the drawing yesterday. Needless to say, I was very upset. My husband was very upset as he was my proxy, and Mr. Reynolds. We were given 2 or 3 different stories as to why Mrs. Luke drew the names prior to the 9 o'clock that was in our packet. My husband and Mr. Reynolds walked in at 8:52 and were told, here, we've already done the drawing, here's the paper. And then when they asked why, she said, I needed a witness. Mrs. Reitz was the witness. Does she only work 45 minutes during the day? And then later in the day, we found that Mr. Champagne, he was left off the list. He's number 5, so that's an error. And then when I called, and I've called 3 times, and I haven't even received a call back as to what the status is, Mrs. Luke said my watch was wrong or the clock was wrong. Well, I find that very, very hard to believe, as I am a secretary in a building in another district, and right on my computer, when I look at my monitor, the time is right there. So if the letter was typed on the computer and she's typing it and notices that the time is wrong, then obviously the drawing was done well before 9.
I think we got your message loud and clear. Thank you.
I'd like to finish, okay?
Then we're going to
I think I
stop
got that
taking
right.
shots at somebody.
I'm not taking any shots. I'm letting people know what went on. The constituents there, another faulty practice.
That's why you're addressing the board, not the audience. Okay, we're going to move on then. Board member comment.
I didn't hear when Mr. LaRouche was addressing about the playground project. For those of you who were not here last meeting when we discussed this, we plan on that being a separate item coming from the capital reserve from the budget.
Thank you. And that's why it needs to be a separate referendum. That's right. Any other board member comment?